All right, so this is an introduction to Vera Molnar, my favorite plotter artist. Vera Molnar is just the queen of delight. She does work that when you look at it, it's all about, you discover something when you look at her work. There's usually a little puzzle that when you figure it out, you're like, oh, got it, that's how that works. And there's poetry in it. Vera Molnar is an artist who lives in Paris, France. I got a chance to meet her a few years ago. She was married to a guy and she was a housewife, which for her, she described it as, I make 2 meals a day, breakfast and dinner, and I get the rest of the day to make art. So she had it set up. They built a studio in their backyard that is a multi-floor studio that's just like brutalist and awesome. And that's where I got to meet her. She got her start in the 60s while there was revolution happening in France, and all the computer programmers would leave the mainframe computers and go and demonstrate in the streets, and she took that opportunity to just do completely delightful things with the technology while they were out and about. So she cranked out art in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, her whole life. And for the most part, nobody was interested until the 2000s. And then there was a small interest, and now as we see a resurgence of and awareness around early computer art, her work is like the collectible. It's if you're into plotter art and you're a collector, her work is the stuff to have on your wall for sure. Let's see. The things you'll notice about her work are in general like they're kind of simple. You know, you can see the way that she's thinking in her head about programming. So she's like, one piece of her work is a series of squares, except one of the squares is like off. And that sort of like having order and then messing with it is part of her jam, and you'll see that in her work. Another thing she does is she'll take a form and she'll just look at different ways to do it. And you know, when I was talking to her, she said, you know, she did this, she created a ton of work, and she kept what delighted her. She regrets not keeping them all, because I'm sure they were all experiments, right? But it's so fun because you can see, if you're any bit of a programmer, or even if you extrapolate in your head and you're not a programmer, but you can imagine being a programmer, you can see, oh yeah, she's doing a thing where she's doing a number of squares and she's introducing some randomness in there so that they start to wiggle, and they start to wiggle more the more it goes down the page. And you can sort of see the sort of programmatic thinking in there. Anyhow, I think that's a good invitation to go and do a search for Vera Molnar and check out her work. And I'm a little bit jealous of you because I've seen all the work and I've been delighted. And now when I see it, I get to revisit that delight, but you get to go out and feel that delight, you know, for the first time. So enjoy.